Diving into the world of aquaculture rearing technician interviews, we're here to help you navigate those waters. We've got a stack of RoleCatcher resources to make sure you're not just prepared, but you really stand out.
What's interesting is we're not just going to tell you what to say. We're going to unpack what interviewers are really looking for and how to showcase your skills in a way that makes you memorable.
Exactly. And we'll sprinkle in some insights from the RoleCatcher Career Guide, so you're not just thinking about landing the job, but also where this career can take you. Let's start with a question you're almost guaranteed to hear. Describe your experience in aquatic animal husbandry. I mean, it's a mouthful, right?
It is, but don't let it intimidate you. They want to know you understand the basics of caring for aquatic animals. It's more than just saying, I love fish. You need to show you can walk the walk.
So how do you make your answer stand out? I bet a lot of people just list off tasks they've done.
You're right. But that can sound robotic. Think about a time you faced a challenge. Maybe a fish got sick. Or a tank's water quality went haywire. Talk about how you handled it, what you learned, and how it demonstrates your skills.
So it's about turning those experiences into mini success stories. The RoleCatcher Interview Guide has a sample answer for this question, but it's pretty basic. How would you jazz it up to really impress?
Let's say the sample answer mentions monitoring water quality. Instead of just stating that, you could say something like, I was responsible for making sure the water conditions were perfect for our trout, which meant constantly monitoring things like pH and dissolved oxygen. One time, the oxygen levels dropped unexpectedly, and I had to think fast. I isolated the affected fish and used aeration techniques to bring the levels back up.
Well, that's a lot more compelling. It shows you're proactive and can handle pressure.
Yeah.
Now, what if the interviewer throws a curveball and asks, what are some signs of stress in fish and how would you address them?
That's a great follow-up question. It tests your knowledge and problem-solving skills. They're looking for someone who can spot problems before they become major issues. Think about things like changes in behavior, loss of appetite, or physical signs like fin clamping, or rapid gill movement.
And to address those signs of stress.
Start by identifying the potential cause. Is it water quality, overcrowding, or maybe even bullying from other fish? Then explain the steps you'd take to alleviate the stress, like adjusting water parameters, separating aggressive fish, or providing a more enriched environment.
So it's all about showing you're observant and proactive, not just reactive. Okay, let's move on to another common question. The guide lists. Describe your experience working with recirculating aquaculture systems. Now, I have to admit, the first time I heard that term, I thought it had something to do with recycling fish food.
I can see the confusion. But recirculating aquaculture systems, or RAS, are a big deal in sustainable fish farming. They filter and reuse water, minimizing waste and environmental impact.
So how do you answer this question? If you haven't worked with RAS before, would it be okay just say you're eager to learn?
Honesty is always best. But instead of just saying, I'm eager to learn, connect it to something you have done. For example, while I haven't worked directly with RAS, I've always been passionate about sustainability. In my previous role, I helped implement a composting program for fish waste to reduce our environmental footprint.
That's a great way to show your commitment, even if you lack direct experience. Now, what if the interviewer probes further and asks about the specific components of an RAS? Should you try to bluff your way through it?
Definitely not. It's better to acknowledge what you don't know and express a willingness to learn. You could say something like, I'm familiar with the basic principles of RAS, like biofiltration and solids removal, but I'm eager to learn more about the specific components and how to optimize their operation.
That shows intellectual honesty and initiative, two qualities any employer would appreciate. Now, before we tackle the next question, I want to highlight something. From the RoleCatcher Career Guide, it says that aquaculture rearing technicians can often specialize in areas like hatchery management or nutrition.
That's right. The guide emphasizes the diverse career paths within this field, and that's something you can leverage in your interview. If a specific area excites you, weave it into your answers.
That's a great tip. It shows you're thinking about your future in this field, not just looking for any job. Okay, back to those interview questions. This next one is a bit more personal. How do you ensure the health and welfare of aquatic animals in your care?
This is where your passion for animal welfare shines through. They want to see you're not just in it for the paycheck, but genuinely care about the fish.
So it's okay to get a little sentimental here. Let's talk about how much you love animals.
Sentiment is good, but back it up with concrete actions. Instead of saying, I love animals, you could say, I believe in providing the best possible care for the fish I work with. I always pay close attention to their behavior, looking for any signs of stress or illness, and I proactively take steps to ensure their environment is clean and healthy.
So it's about showing, not just telling. Now, the RoleCatcher Interview Guide mentioned something called the 5 Freedoms of Animal Welfare. What are those exactly, and how can we use them to nail this question?
The 5 freedoms are a set of guidelines for ensuring animal welfare. They are freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, injury, or disease, freedom to express normal behavior, and freedom from fear and distress.
Okay, that's a lot to remember. How do you weave all that into an interview answer without sounding like you're reciting a textbook?
Pick 1 or 2 freedoms that resonate with you and connect them to specific actions. For example, you could say, I'm passionate about ensuring fish have the freedom from discomfort. In my previous role, I worked hard to maintain optimal water temperature and flow rates to create a comfortable environment for them. I also made sure they had ample space to swim and explore.
That's much more impactful than just saying you care about animal welfare.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, how does RoleCatcher's AI come into play when it comes to answering these questions?
That's where it gets really interesting. Imagine this. You upload the job description for the Aquaculture Rearing Technician role you're applying for, and RoleCatcher's AI analyzes it.
Okay, and then what happens?
The AI identifies the key skills and keywords they're looking for. It then helps you tailor your answers to hit those points specifically. It's like having a personalized cheat sheet for that exact job.
That's incredible. So it's not just about having good answers, it's about having the right answers for that specific employer. Okay, back to the questions. This next one focuses on a specialized skill. Describe your experience working with broodstock. Now, for those of us who aren't fish experts, what exactly is broodstock?
Broodstock are the parent fish, used for breeding. Managing them is all about selecting the best candidates to produce healthy and productive offspring. Think of it as fish matchmaking, but with a scientific twist.
That's a fun way to think about it. But what if you're early in your career and haven't had much hands-on experience with broodstock? How do you answer this question without sounding inexperienced?
Focus on what you have learned, even if it was through observation or coursework. You could say, while my experience with broodstock is limited, I've studied the principles of selective breeding and understand the importance of maintaining genetic diversity. I'm eager to apply that knowledge and gain practical experience in a professional setting.
That shows you're a quick learner and eager to contribute. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about a specific broodstock management technique?
Honesty is key. Don't pretend to know something you don't. Instead, turn it into an opportunity to show your willingness to learn. You could say, I'm not familiar with that specific technique, but I'm very interested in learning more about it. Could you tell me a little bit about how it's implemented in your facility?
That's a great way to turn the tables and learn something new, while also showcasing your curiosity. Now, before we move on to the next question, I want to highlight another interesting point. From the RoleCatcher Career Guide, it mentions that certifications can be a valuable way to boost your credentials and stand out from the competition.
That's right. Certifications demonstrate your commitment to professional development and expertise in specific areas, which can definitely give you an edge in the job market.
So if you have any relevant certifications, be sure to mention them in your interview. It shows you're serious about your career in aquaculture. Okay, let's tackle this question. How do you monitor water quality parameters in a recirculating aquaculture system?
This question tests your technical knowledge. They want to know you understand the importance of water quality and can monitor it effectively.
So it's not just about knowing what to test for, but also why it's important, right?
Exactly. Don't just rattle off a list of parameters like dissolved oxygen, pH, and ammonia. Explain why those measurements are crucial for fish health. For example, maintaining optimal dissolved oxygen levels is essential for fish respiration, while monitoring pH helps prevent ammonia toxicity.
That shows you understand the science behind those measurements, not just following a checklist. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
One mistake is being too vague. Don't just say, I use a test kit. Be specific about the methods and equipment you've used, whether it's electronic probes, colorimetric tests, or even laboratory analysis.
So it's about showing your depth of knowledge and experience with different techniques. What about this follow-up question? What actions would you take if a water quality parameter was outside of the acceptable range?
That's a great question. That really tests your problem-solving skills. First, stay calm and don't panic. Then walk the interviewer through your thought process. You could say, I would immediately investigate the potential cause of the imbalance. Is it a malfunctioning filter, an overfeeding issue, or something else entirely? Then I'd implement appropriate corrective measures, such as adjusting water flow rates, performing a partial water change, or even isolating affected fish.
That shows you're a critical thinker and capable of taking decisive action. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can help tailor your answers to specific job requirements, but how does it provide feedback on your delivery? It's not like it can see your facial expressions or hear your tone of voice, right?
Actually, it can. RoleCatcher has a feature where you can record yourself answering interview questions. The AI then analyzes your recording, providing feedback on things like pacing, clarity, and even your use of filler words.
That's amazing. It's like having a personal coach
Yeah.
who can pinpoint those subtle nuances
Yeah.
that you might not even be aware of. Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on a critical aspect of fish health. Describe your experience with disease management in aquaculture. Now, I have to admit, this is one area that makes me squirm a little. I can't even handle seeing a sick goldfish.
I understand. But disease management is a reality in aquaculture. The interviewer wants to know you can handle this aspect of the job responsibly.
So what kind of experience should you highlight? Should you mention every single fish illness you've ever encountered?
Focus on experiences that demonstrate your knowledge of disease prevention, identification, and treatment. For example, in a previous role, I implemented strict biosecurity protocols to prevent disease introduction. I also learned to identify common fish diseases, like ish and fin rot, and assisted with administering treatments.
That shows you're proactive and knowledgeable. Now, what if the interviewer throws a curveball and asks about a specific disease you've never heard of?
Don't panic. It's impossible to know everything. Acknowledge that you're not familiar with that specific disease, but express your willingness to learn. You could say, I'm not familiar with that particular disease, but I'm very interested in learning more about it. What are the key symptoms and treatment options?
That shows you're curious and committed to continuous learning. Now, before we move on to the next question, I want to emphasize something from the RoleCatcher Career Guide that really stood out to me. It says that senior aquaculture rearing technicians often have the opportunity to lead training programs for new staff.
That's a great point. The guide highlights the leadership potential within this career path, and that's something you can leverage in your interview. If you're comfortable with teaching or mentoring, be sure to mention it.
Right. It shows you're not just thinking about your own growth, but also about contributing to the development of others. Okay, let's dive into another crucial question. How do you ensure compliance with regulatory requirements in aquaculture operations?
Compliance is non-negotiable in aquaculture. The interviewer wants to know you understand the rules and take them seriously.
And so it's not just about knowing the regulations, but also demonstrating a commitment to following them.
Right. Exactly. You could say something like, I understand that compliance is crucial for both the ethical and legal operation of an aquaculture facility. I always make sure to stay updated on the latest regulations and proactively implement any necessary changes to ensure we're meeting all requirements.
That shows you're responsible and proactive, not just someone who grudgingly follows the rules. Now, what if the interviewer asks about a specific regulation that you're not entirely familiar with?
Honesty is always the best policy. Admit that you're not completely familiar with that specific regulation, but express your willingness to learn. And ensure compliance, you could say. I'm not as familiar with that particular regulation, but I'm committed to making sure our operations are always in compliance. I would immediately research the details and make sure we're meeting all requirements.
That shows you're a problem solver and take compliance seriously. Now, before we move on to the next question, I want to highlight something from the RoleCatcher Career Guide. That I found fascinating. It says that aquaculture rearing technicians can sometimes have the opportunity to work on research projects.
That's right. The guide emphasizes the diverse opportunities within this field, from hands-on fish care to more scientific endeavors, and that's something you can leverage in your interview. If you're interested in the research side of aquaculture, be sure to mention it.
Right. It shows you're a curious and well-rounded candidate. Okay, let's tackle this question. How do you manage fish health in a recirculating aquaculture system?
This is where your knowledge of both fish health and RAS technology comes together. They want to know you understand the unique challenges and solutions involved.
So it's not enough to just talk about disease prevention or water quality monitoring in general. You need to connect those concepts specifically to RAS, right?
Exactly. You could say something like, in a recirculating system, water is constantly being reused, which means any disease outbreak can spread rapidly. That's why biosecurity is paramount. I would implement strict quarantine protocols for new fish, regularly sanitize equipment, and monitor fish behavior closely for any signs of illness.
That shows you understand the interconnectedness of fish health and RAS operation. Now, what if the interviewer asks about a specific fish health challenge? That's common in recirculating systems.
Don't be afraid to admit if you haven't encountered that specific challenge firsthand. Instead, use your knowledge of fish biology and RAS principles to reason your way through a potential solution, you could say. While I haven't personally dealt with that issue, I understand that recirculating systems can sometimes lead to elevated levels of dissolved solids. I would closely monitor water parameters, potentially adjust filtration rates, and consider implementing strategies like denitrification to mitigate the problem.
That shows you're a critical thinker who can apply your knowledge to new situations. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but how does it also provide feedback on your delivery? It's not like it can see your facial expressions or hear your tone of voice, right?
Actually, it can. RoleCatcher has a feature where you can record yourself answering interview questions. The AI then analyzes your recording, providing feedback on things like pacing, clarity, and even your use of filler words.
That's amazing. It's like having a personal coach who can pinpoint those subtle nuances that you might not even be aware of. Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on a fundamental aspect of fish care. Describe your experience with fish nutrition.
Nutrition is the cornerstone of fish health and growth. So they want to know you understand the dietary needs of different species and can manage feeding programs effectively.
So it's more than just throwing food into a tank. You need to show you understand the science behind it, right?
Exactly. Instead of just saying, I fed the fish, you could say, I'm passionate about providing the fish in my care with a balanced and nutritious diet. I've researched the specific nutritional requirements of different species and have experience formulating feed mixes to meet their needs at different life stages.
That shows you're knowledgeable and take nutrition seriously. What if the interviewer follows up with a question about a specific feeding strategy, like restricted feeding or demand feeding?
Be honest about your experience with different strategies. If you're familiar with the concept, but haven't implemented it firsthand, express your willingness to learn. You could say, I've read about the benefits of restricted feeding for improving feed efficiency, but I haven't had the opportunity to implement it myself. I'm eager to learn more about how it's implemented in a practical setting.
That shows you're curious and eager to expand your knowledge. Now, before we move on to the next question, I want to highlight something from the RoleCatcher Career Guide that I found particularly interesting. It mentions that aquaculture rearing technicians can often specialize in areas like water quality management or disease control.
That's right. The guide emphasizes the diverse career paths within this field, and that's something you can leverage in your interview. If a specific area piques your interest, be sure to mention it. It shows you're thinking about your future in this field and how you can contribute your unique skills and interests.
Right. It's about finding your niche and showcasing your passion. Okay, let's tackle this question. Describe a time you had to solve a problem in an aquaculture setting. What was the problem? How did you approach it? And what was the outcome?
This is a classic behavioral interview question. They're not as interested in the specific problem itself, but rather how you think, how you approach challenges, and whether you can learn from your experiences.
So it's about showcasing your problem-solving skills and ability to think on your feet. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't choose a problem that was caused by your own negligence or lack of attention to detail. Focus on a situation where you faced an unexpected challenge and had to find a solution.
Okay, so no stories about accidentally forgetting to turn on the aeration pump.
Exactly. Instead, think about a time when you noticed a change in fish behavior, identified a potential water quality issue, or had to troubleshoot a malfunctioning piece of equipment.
And how should you structure your answer to make it clear and concise?
Follow the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. Briefly describe the situation, explain your specific task or role, outline the actions you took, and then highlight the positive outcome or lessons learned. That's a great framework. It keeps your answer focused and easy to follow. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about how you could have prevented the problem in the first place?
Right.
Don't get defensive or try to shift blame. Instead, use it as an opportunity to show your growth mindset. You could say, looking back, I realized that I could have been more proactive in monitoring water quality parameters. That experience taught me the importance of regular preventative maintenance and early detection of potential issues.
That shows you're self-aware and committed to continuous improvement. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but how does it provide feedback on your delivery? It's not like it can see your facial expressions or hear your tone of voice, right?
Actually, RoleCatcher has a feature where you can record yourself answering interview questions. The AI then analyzes your recording, providing feedback on things like pacing clarity and even your use of filler words.
That's amazing. It's like having a personal coach who can pinpoint those subtle nuances that you might not even be aware of. Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on your initiative and problem-solving skills. Tell me about a time you went above and beyond the call of duty in a previous role. What motivated you to do so?
This question is designed to assess your work ethic, dedication, and willingness to go the extra mile they want to see if you're passionate about your work and take pride in doing a good job.
So it's about showing you're not just clocking in and out, you're genuinely invested in making a positive contribution. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't choose an example that is too trivial or doesn't really demonstrate going above and beyond. Instead, focus on a situation where you took initiative, showed extra effort, or went out of your way to help a colleague or customer.
Okay, so no stories about refilling the coffee machine.
Haha, exactly. Think about a time when you volunteered for a challenging task, worked late to meet a deadline, or came up with a creative solution to a problem.
And how should you structure your answer to make it clear and concise?
Again, the STAR method can be helpful here. Situation, task, action, result. Briefly describe the situation. Explain your specific task or role, outline the actions you took that went above and beyond, and then highlight the positive outcome or the impact of your efforts.
That's a great framework. It keeps your answer focused and easy to follow. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about what you learned from that experience?
Be prepared to discuss the lessons you learned, particularly about yourself and your work style. You could say, that experience taught me the importance of taking initiative, being proactive, and always striving to exceed expectations. It also reinforced my passion for this field and my commitment to making a positive impact.
That shows you're a reflective learner who's motivated by challenges and growth opportunities. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but can it also help you negotiate a better salary?
While it can't directly negotiate for you, RoleCatcher's AI can provide valuable insights into salary trends for aquaculture rearing technician roles in your location and with your level of experience. This information can help you set realistic expectations and make informed decisions during salary negotiations.
That's incredibly helpful. It takes the guesswork out of salary discussions and gives you the confidence to advocate for your worth. Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on your ability to learn and adapt. Tell me about a time you had to learn a new skill or adapt to a new technology. How did you approach the learning process?
This question is designed to assess your learning agility, adaptability, and willingness to embrace new challenges. They want to see if you're a quick learner who can keep up with the ever-evolving nature of the aquaculture industry.
So it's about showing you're not afraid of change and can readily pick up new skills and knowledge. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't choose an example that is too basic or doesn't really demonstrate a significant learning curve. Instead, focus on a time when you had to step outside of your comfort zone, acquire new knowledge, or master a new technology.
Okay, so no stories about learning how to use the office copy machine.
Exactly. Think about a time when you had to learn how to operate a new piece of equipment, implement a new software program, or master a new fish husbandry technique.
And how should you structure your answer to make it clear and concise?
Again, the STAR method can be helpful here. Situation, task, action, result. Briefly describe the situation. Explain your specific task or role, outline the actions you took to learn the new skill or technology, and then highlight the positive outcome or the lessons learned.
That's a great framework. It keeps your answer focused and easy to follow. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about how you stay up to date on the latest advancements in aquaculture?
Be prepared to discuss your commitment to continuous learning and professional development. You could say, I subscribe to industry journals, attend conferences and webinars, and actively participate in online forums and discussion groups. I'm always eager to learn about the latest research technologies and best practices in aquaculture.
That shows you're a proactive learner who's committed to staying ahead of the curve. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but can it also help you identify potential career paths within aquaculture?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your skills, interests, and experience, suggesting potential career paths within aquaculture that align with your strengths and aspirations. It's like having a personalized career counselor who can help you explore different options and discover new possibilities.
That's incredibly helpful. It opens up a world of possibilities and helps you envision a long and fulfilling career in aquaculture.
Ah.
Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on your safety awareness and risk management skills. Describe a time you identified a potential safety hazard in the workplace. How did you address it?
This question is designed to assess your commitment to safety, your ability to identify and mitigate risks, and your willingness to take responsibility for maintaining a safe work environment.
So it's about showing you're proactive and responsible when it comes to safety, not just following the rules, because you have to. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't choose an example that is too minor or didn't really pose a significant safety risk. Instead, focus on a situation where you identified a genuine hazard and took steps to address it effectively.
Okay, so no stories about replacing a burnt-out light bulb.
Huh. Exactly. Think about a time when you noticed a slippery surface, a faulty piece of equipment, or a potential fire hazard.
And how should you structure your answer to make it clear and concise?
Again, the STAR method can be helpful here. Situation, task, action, result. Briefly describe the situation. Explain your specific task or role outline the actions you took to address the safety hazard, and then highlight the positive outcome or the impact of your actions.
That's a great framework. It keeps your answer focused and easy to follow. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about what you learned from that experience?
Be prepared to discuss the lessons you learned about safety protocols, risk management, and the importance of proactive communication, you could say. That experience reinforced the importance of being vigilant about safety and taking immediate action to address potential hazards. It also taught me the value of clear communication and collaboration with colleagues to ensure a safe work environment for everyone.
That shows you're a safety-conscious individual who's committed to continuous improvement. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but can it also help you identify potential career paths that align with your values?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your values and interests, suggesting career paths that align with your personal beliefs and aspirations. It can also connect you with companies that share your values, fostering a sense of purpose and fulfillment in your work.
That's incredibly helpful. It's about finding a career that not only pays the bills, but also makes you feel good about the work you do. Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on your communication skills and ability to work with others. Describe a time you had to communicate a complex concept or idea to someone who is not familiar with the topic. How did you ensure they understood?
This question is designed to assess your communication skills, particularly your ability to simplify complex information, tailor your message to your audience, and ensure clear understanding.
So it's about showing you can explain technical concepts in a way that even someone who knows nothing about aquaculture can grasp. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't use jargon or technical terms without explaining them clearly. Avoid talking down to your audience or assuming they know nothing. Instead, try to find a common ground and use analogies or real-world examples to make the concept relatable.
Okay, so no lectures about the intricacies of biofloc technology.
Haha. Exactly, think about a time when you had to explain a fish health issue to a concerned customer, teach a new employee how to operate a piece of equipment, or present a research finding to a non-scientific audience.
And how should you structure your answer to make it clear and concise?
Again, the STAR method can be helpful here. Situation, task, action, result. Briefly describe the situation, explain your specific task or role outline the actions you took to communicate the concept effectively, and then highlight the positive outcome, such as the person's understanding or their ability to apply the knowledge.
That's a great framework. It keeps your answer focused and easy to follow. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about a time your communication efforts failed?
Don't be afraid to discuss a time when you faced a communication challenge. The key is to show what you learned from the experience and how you've improved your communication skills since then, you could say. In one instance, I realized that I hadn't adequately explained a new procedure to my team, which led to some confusion and errors. That experience taught me the importance of clear and concise communication, as well as the value of actively listening and seeking feedback to ensure everyone is on the same page.
That shows you're self-aware and committed to continuous improvement in your communication skills. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but can it also help you identify potential mentors or networking opportunities within the aquaculture industry?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can connect you with experienced professionals in aquaculture who are willing to share their knowledge and provide guidance.
Hmm.
It can also suggest relevant industry events, conferences, and online communities where you can network with other professionals and expand your connections.
That's incredibly helpful. It's about building relationships and learning from those who have walked the path before you to help. Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on your ability to work independently and take initiative. Describe a time you took initiative or went above and beyond in a previous role without being asked what motivated you to do so.
This question is designed to assess your self-motivation, proactiveness, and ability to work independently. They want to see if you're a go-getter who takes ownership of their work and doesn't need constant supervision.
So it's about showing you're a self-starter who's always looking for ways to contribute and make a difference. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't choose an example that is too trivial or doesn't really demonstrate initiative. Instead, focus on a situation where you identified a need, took ownership of a problem, or came up with a creative solution without being prompted.
Okay, so no stories about organizing the office supply closet.
Haha, exactly. Think about a time when you streamlined a process, improved a procedure, or volunteered for a challenging assignment without being asked.
And how should you structure your answer to make it clear and concise?
Again, the STAR method can be helpful here. Situation, task, action, result. Briefly describe the situation. Explain your specific task or role outline the actions you took that demonstrated initiative, and then highlight the positive outcome or the impact of your efforts.
That's a great framework. It keeps your answer focused and easy to follow. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about a time your initiative backfired?
Don't be afraid to discuss a time when your initiative didn't go as planned. The key is to show what you learned from the experience and how you've refined your approach since then, you could say. In one instance, I took on a task without fully understanding the scope or complexity. That experience taught me the importance of careful planning, seeking guidance when needed, and communicating effectively with my team to ensure everyone is aligned.
That shows you're a reflective learner who's not afraid to make mistakes and can grow from setbacks. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but can it also help you identify potential transferable skills from other industries?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your skills and experience from previous roles, even those outside of aquaculture, identifying transferable skills that are valuable in the aquaculture industry. It can then help you highlight those skills in your application and connect them to the requirements of the job you're applying for.
That's incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
It opens up possibilities for career changers and those who might not have direct experience in aquaculture, but possess valuable skills that can be applied to this field. Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on your attention to detail and accuracy. Describe a time you had to pay close attention to detail to complete a task accurately. What steps did you take to ensure accuracy?
This question is designed to assess your conscientiousness, your ability to focus on the task at hand, and your commitment to producing high-quality work. They want to see if you're reliable and can be trusted to handle important responsibilities.
So it's about showing you're not just going through the motions, you're meticulous and take pride in your work. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't choose an example that is too mundane or doesn't really demonstrate a high level of attention to detail. Instead, focus on a situation where accuracy was crucial and you took specific steps to ensure your work was error-free.
Okay, so no stories about alphabetizing your spice rack.
Haha, exactly. Think about a time when you had to calibrate a sensitive piece of equipment record, precise data measurements, or proofread an important document.
And how should you structure your answer to make it clear and concise?
Again, the STAR method can be helpful here. Situation, task, action, result. Briefly describe the situation, explain your specific task, or role outline the steps you took to ensure accuracy, such as double-checking your work, using checklists, or seeking peer review, and then highlight the positive outcomes, such as the absence of errors or the achievement of a specific goal.
That's a great framework. It keeps your answer focused and easy to follow. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about a time you made a mistake due to a lack of attention to detail?
Don't be afraid to discuss a time when you made a mistake, but focus on what you learned from the experience and how you've improved your attention to detail since then, you could say. In one instance, I overlooked a small but important detail in a data entry task, which led to an error in a report. That experience taught me the importance of slowing down, double-checking my work, and using checklists to ensure accuracy.
That shows you're self-aware, accountable, and committed to continuous improvement. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers. but can it also help you identify potential gaps in your knowledge or skills?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can compare your skills and experience to the requirements of the job you're applying for, identifying potential gaps in your knowledge or skills. It then suggests resources, training programs, and even online courses that can help you fill those gaps and strengthen your application.
That's incredibly helpful. It's like having a personalized learning plan that's tailored to your specific career goals. Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on your ability to handle stress and pressure. Describe a time you had to work under pressure or meet a tight deadline. How did you manage your time and workload effectively?
This question is designed to assess your ability to handle stress, prioritize tasks, and maintain productivity in challenging situations. They want to see if you can stay calm under pressure, manage your time effectively, and deliver high-quality work even when faced with tight deadlines.
So it's about showing you're cool under fire and can handle the demands of a fast-paced work environment. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't choose an example that is too trivial or didn't really involve significant pressure or time constraints. Instead, focus on a situation where you had to juggle multiple tasks, prioritize effectively, and deliver results under challenging circumstances.
Okay, so no stories about rushing to finish your grocery shopping before the store closed.
Haha, exactly. Think about a time when you had to meet a demanding production quota, respond to an emergency situation, or handle a surge in customer requests.
And how should you structure your answer to make it clear and concise?
Again, the STAR method can be helpful here. Situation, task, action, result. Briefly describe the situation, explain your specific task, or role outline the actions you took to manage your time and workload effectively, such as creating a schedule, delegating tasks, or seeking support from colleagues, and then highlight the positive outcomes, such as meeting the deadline or exceeding expectations.
That's a great framework. It keeps your answer focused and easy to follow. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about how you handle stress and maintain your composure in challenging situations?
Be honest about your coping mechanisms, but focus on strategies that are healthy and professional. You could say, I find that staying organized, prioritizing tasks, and taking short breaks throughout the day helps me manage stress effectively. I also make sure to maintain a positive attitude, focus on the task at hand, and seek support from colleagues when needed.
That shows you're self-aware and have developed effective strategies for managing stress and maintaining your well-being. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but can it also help you identify potential red flags in a company's culture?
While it can't directly assess company culture, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze company reviews, news articles, and social media posts to provide insights into a company's reputation, values, and work environment. This information can help you make informed decisions about whether a particular company is a good fit for you.
That's incredibly helpful. It's about finding a company that aligns with your values and where you feel comfortable and supported. Okay, back to the interview questions. This next one focuses on your decision-making skills and ability to think critically. Describe a time you had to make a difficult decision in the workplace. What factors did you consider and how did you arrive at your decision?
This question is designed to assess your judgment, your ability to gather and analyze information, and your confidence in making tough calls. They want to see if you can think critically, weigh the pros and cons, and make sound decisions even when faced with limited information or time constraints.
So it's about showing you're a thoughtful and decisive leader who can make tough calls when needed. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't choose an example that is too trivial or didn't really involve a significant decision. Instead, focus on a situation where you had to consider multiple factors, weigh the potential consequences, and make a decision that had a real impact.
Okay, so no stories about deciding what to order for lunch.
Aha! Exactly. Think about a time when you had to make a decision about fish health, a safety protocol, a resource allocation, or a production strategy.
And how should you structure your answer to make it clear and concise?
Again, the STAR method can be helpful here. Situation, task, action, result. Briefly describe the situation, explain your specific task or role, outline the factors you considered, the process you used to analyze the information, and the rationale behind your decision, and then highlight the positive outcome or the lessons learned.
That's a great framework. It keeps your answer focused and easy to follow. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about what you would do differently next time?
Be honest and reflective, show that you've learned from the experience and are always striving to improve your decision-making skills, you could say. Looking back, I realized that I could have gathered more information or consulted with more stakeholders before making my decision. That experience taught me the importance of seeking diverse perspectives, considering all potential options, and being prepared to adapt my approach based on new information.
That shows you're a continuous learner who's not afraid to admit mistakes and can grow from challenges. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but can it also help you prepare for different types of interviews, such as behavioral interviews, technical interviews, or even panel interviews?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can provide tailored advice and resources for different interview formats, helping you prepare for specific types of questions, practice your responses, and develop effective strategies for showcasing your skills and experience in different interview settings. It's like having a personalized interview coach who can help you navigate any interview scenario with confidence.
That's incredibly helpful. It takes the guesswork out of interview preparation and gives you the tools you need to succeed.
Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you practice your answers, the more confident and comfortable you'll feel during the actual interview.
Okay, before we move on, let's touch on something else from the RoleCatcher Career Guide that I found particularly interesting. It mentions the importance of networking and building relationships within the aquaculture industry.
Absolutely. Networking is crucial for career growth, and staying informed about industry trends and opportunities, attending conferences, joining professional organizations, and connecting with other professionals online are all valuable ways to build your network.
Okay, back to those interview questions. This next one is a bit more philosophical. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing the aquaculture industry today? And how do you see your role in addressing those challenges?
This question is designed to assess your understanding of the industry, your ability to think critically about complex issues, and your commitment to sustainability and innovation. They want to see if you're aware of the bigger picture and how your role as an aquaculture rearing technician fits into the broader context of the industry's challenges and opportunities.
So it's about showing you're not just focused on the day-to-day task, you're thinking about the future of aquaculture
Yeah.
and how you can contribute to its success. What are some of the key challenges facing the industry that you could mention?
Some of the key challenges include environmental sustainability, minimizing the environmental impact of aquaculture operations, including reducing waste, conserving water, and protecting ecosystems. Disease management, preventing and controlling disease outbreaks, which can have devastating consequences for fish health and production.
Right.
Feed sustainability, finding alternative sources of protein for fish feed that are sustainable and don't rely on overfishing of wild fish stocks.
Okay.
Climate change, adapting to the impacts of climate change, such as rising water temperatures and ocean acidification, which can affect fish health and growth. Consumer perceptions, addressing consumer concerns about the safety, quality, and sustainability of farmed seafood.
That's a lot to consider. How can you connect your role as an aquaculture rearing technician to these challenges in your answer?
Focus on the practical steps you can take in your daily work to contribute to solutions, for example. Environmental sustainability. I'm committed to implementing best practices for water conservation, waste reduction, and energy efficiency in my work. I'm also interested in exploring innovative technologies such as recirculating aquaculture systems to minimize the environmental impact of fish farming.
Oh.
Disease management. I believe that prevention is key to effective disease management. I'm dedicated to implementing strict biosecurity protocols, monitoring fish health closely, and working collaboratively with veterinarians and other experts to prevent and control outbreaks. Feed sustainability. I'm interested in learning more about alternative protein sources for fish feeds, such as insect meal or algae. And I'm eager to contribute to research and development efforts in this area.
Okay.
Climate change. I'm aware of the potential impacts of climate change on aquaculture, and I'm committed to adapting my practices to mitigate those impacts. I'm also interested in exploring strategies for building resilience into aquaculture systems to withstand future challenges. Consumer perceptions. I believe that transparency and communication are key to building consumer trust in farmed seafood. I'm committed to upholding high standards of quality and sustainability in my work, and I'm eager to share information about responsible aquaculture practices with consumers.
Those are all great examples. It shows you're not just thinking about your own job, but you're considering the bigger picture and how you can contribute to the long-term success of the industry. Now, what if the interviewer follows up with a question about a specific challenge or opportunity that's particularly relevant to their company or location?
Be prepared to do your research before the interview. Learn as much as you can about the company's operations, their sustainability initiatives, and the specific challenges they face. Tailor your answer to show that you've done your homework and are genuinely interested in contributing to their success.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
It shows you're proactive and genuinely interested in the company. Now, before we move on, I want to highlight something else from the RoleCatcher Career Guide that I found incredibly insightful. It mentions the importance of lifelong learning and professional development in the aquaculture industry.
Absolutely. Aquaculture is a rapidly evolving field, so it's crucial to stay up to date on the latest advancements, technologies, and best practices. Attending conferences, taking online courses, and reading industry publications are all valuable ways to continue learning and growing throughout your career.
Okay, back to those interview questions. This next one is a bit more open-ended. Do you have any questions for me?
This is your chance to shine. Don't squander it by saying no or asking generic questions. Prepare thoughtful questions that demonstrate your genuine interest in the company and the role.
What are some examples of questions that would impress an interviewer?
Here are a few ideas. What are the company's long-term goals for sustainability, and how does this role contribute to those goals?
Oh,
Can you tell me more about the company's culture and what it's like to work here? What opportunities are there for professional development and advancement within the company?
okay.
What are the biggest challenges facing this particular role, and how does the company support its employees in overcoming those challenges?
Mhm.
What are the next steps in the hiring process?
Those are all great questions. It shows you're engaged, curious, and thinking beyond the immediate job offer. Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and help tailor your answers, but can it also help you prepare questions for the interviewer?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can suggest relevant and insightful questions based on the company's profile, the job description, and even news articles and industry trends. It can also help you phrase your questions in a way that is clear, concise, and professional.
That's incredibly helpful. It takes the guesswork out of formulating questions and ensures you're asking the right things to impress the interviewer. All right, we've covered a lot of ground today, from unpacking those tricky interview questions to exploring the diverse career paths within aquaculture. Any final words of wisdom for our aspiring aquaculture rearing technicians out there?
Remember to be confident, be yourself, and showcase your passion for this field. And don't forget to leverage the incredible resources that RoleCatcher offers to support your job search and career development. You've got this.
Exactly. With the right preparation, a positive attitude, and the support of RoleCatcher, you're well on your way to landing that dream job in the fascinating world of aquaculture. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into aquaculture rearing technician interviews.
See you next time.